People over 60, stop drinking plain water every day because that can make your skin look more saggy, more wrinkled, and older over time. Today I'm going to reveal 5 ingredients to add to your water that help rejuvenate your skin, reduce wrinkles, and naturally stimulate collagen. And the last ingredient even surprised dermatologists and researchers because the results started becoming noticeable in less than 5 days. Let's begin with secret ingredient number 5. Here appears a natural element that for many years went practically unnoticed, but today is starting to attract a lot of interest in the scientific world because of something very striking: its possible ability to help strengthen the skin from the inside, right in the layers where aging truly begins. And the most important thing is that we are not talking about expensive treatments or complicated procedures, but rather an essential mineral that the body needs to keep the skin firm, elastic, and resistant over time. All of this makes much more sense when you learn about the case of Helen, a 72-year-old woman who had been a music teacher her entire life. When she came to the consultation, she was convinced of something that weighed heavily on her. She felt that her skin had lost all of its strength. Her face showed deep wrinkles around the mouth. The jawline area was sagging, and her arms had a very thin and fragile appearance. Even under certain lights, her skin looked almost transparent. We tried several strategies to improve her skin. Some helped a little, but the most important change came from something surprisingly simple. Helen started adding a few drops of a mineral compound to her water every morning. Nothing complicated, just daily consistency. At first, she did not expect major results, but over the months, something unexpected happened. During a medical checkup, her dermatologist, without knowing what she was taking, commented that her skin looked much firmer and younger. That compound was food-grade liquid silica, obtained from horsetail extract. To understand why this is important, you have to imagine something simple. Inside the body, silica helps form and maintain collagen, which is what gives firmness to the skin. Collagen would be like the structure that holds everything together, and silica acts as an internal support that keeps that structure strong. The problem appears when silica levels drop. At that moment, collagen starts weakening faster, loses elasticity, and the skin becomes thinner, looser, and more wrinkled. And here comes something many people do not know. Most people try to solve this only with creams from the outside, when in reality, a large part of the problem begins inside the body. In fact, a study from the Erasmus University Medical Center followed women over 60 for 24 weeks. Those who took orthosilicic acid, which is the easiest form of silica to absorb, showed clear improvements, more elastic skin, fewer visible wrinkles, and stronger nails compared to the placebo group. But here another key point appears with age. After 65 years old, the body no longer uses silica the same way. The digestive system becomes less efficient, stomach acid decreases, and the enzymes that help transform it into a usable form also decline. That is why many older adults have low levels without even knowing it. This explains why so many external treatments do not deliver the expected results. If the body lacks the internal materials, it is very difficult to restore firmness only from the outside. Liquid horsetail extract is easily found in health food stores. Normally about 15 drops are used in water in the morning and another 15 in the afternoon without exceeding 30 drops per day. But there is one very important detail that almost nobody mentions. Silica works much better when combined with vitamin C. Vitamin C helps the body activate the enzymes that allow silica to integrate into collagen. Without enough vitamin C, silica is not properly utilized. That is why many people pair it with something as simple as a glass of orange juice. It seems small, but that combination can help the body a lot. Before continuing, write the word collagen in the comments if you will start adding silica to your water starting today. At number 4, we find something that you probably have in your kitchen right now. And what is surprising is that many people throw it away without knowing its value. We are talking about lemon peel infused water, although it is not simply water with lemon juice. Here the important thing is not the juice, but the outer part of the lemon, and above all the white part that is normally thrown away. That area contains hesperidin, a natural compound that has caught scientists' attention because of its connection to collagen production. Researchers at the University of Southern California observed that this compound can activate processes related to collagen production in the skin. In a study with people between 60 and 80 years old, those who consumed water with hesperidin for 12 weeks showed a 35% increase in collagen density in the skin. Something important happens with age. The cells that produce collagen, called fibroblasts, begin to become slower, like small factories losing their rhythm. They produce less collagen and the loses firmness. Hesperidin seems to help reactivate those cells by activating a pathway called TGF-beta, which gives them the signal to start working more actively again. Preparing it is simple, but it has to be done correctly. 1 organic lemon is used because the peel is being used. Thin strips of the lemon peel are washed well and placed in a jar of water. It should not be drunk immediately. Ideally, it should rest for at least 4 hours in the refrigerator or even overnight. 2 glasses are recommended in the morning before breakfast. And here comes an interesting detail, combining it with sunflower seeds. This is because they contain vitamin E, which helps the body absorb hesperidin better. Some studies indicate that it can increase its absorption by up to 38%. In other words, the body could use these natural compounds much better. If this video is being useful to you, subscribe and activate notifications so you do not miss any of my upcoming videos. All right, we have reached number 3, one of the most surprising things on this entire list according to Japanese researchers, and also something that can be prepared in less than 1 minute: molecular hydrogen water. Here it is important not to get confused. It is not the hydrogen from normal water, but molecular hydrogen dissolved as gas. It is one of the smallest molecules known, which allows it to reach almost every cell in the body, even the brain. Many antioxidants, such as vitamin C or vitamin E, cannot reach certain areas where cellular damage occurs, but hydrogen can. Studies from Nippon Medical School showed that this type of water reduced oxidative stress by up to 60% in older adults. Oxidative stress is the damage caused by unstable molecules that deteriorate cells, skin, and collagen over time. When we are young, the body controls it well, but with age, that balance is lost and the damage gradually accumulates. Hydrogen stands out because it acts selectively on the most harmful radicals, reducing damage without interfering with important immune system functions. Studies in Tokyo also observed improvements in skin hydration, fewer fine lines, and more energy. And this last point is key because less energy usually means less movement, and that accelerates aging. Today, it can be consumed with tablets or hydrogen water generators. Tablets are the most practical option. They dissolve in a glass of water in 1 or 2 minutes and are drunk immediately. 1 glass on an empty stomach and another in the afternoon are recommended. Here's another interesting detail. Combining it with astaxanthin, a natural antioxidant present in salmon, studies at Kiel University showed that together they can enhance each other and maintain the antioxidant effect for a longer time. This combination, together with the next element, even showed very interesting effects in collagen protection. Number 2 even surprised researchers with years of experience because here it is not only about taking collagen, but how it is taken. And that completely changes the results. A clear case is Raymond, a 76-year-old man who had worked as a paramedic for decades. After losing his wife, he completely neglected his health. He slept poorly, ate without schedules, and his skin looked severely deteriorated. He himself said that it looked like old wrinkled paper. The problem was not only the collagen, but how he consumed it. Before, he took it in capsules with food like most people. The change was simple, starting to take powdered collagen dissolved in warm water on an empty stomach in the morning. 4 months later, people were asking him if he had undergone some kind of cosmetic treatment. A study showed that this form of consumption can increase blood levels by up to 70% compared to capsules taken with food, because on an empty stomach, the stomach is free without other proteins competing, and that allows collagen to be processed in a more direct and faster way. Here is something important that many people do not consider. Collagen does not act like a cream that is placed on the skin, but instead it first has to be digested, broken down into small fragments, and then absorbed in the intestine. That is why everything that happens during digestion directly influences the final result. In addition, after 75 years old, the body produces fewer digestive enzymes, which makes this process slower and less efficient. In other words, even if the person consumes the same product, the body does not process it the same way as it did at 40 or 50 years old. That is why the method of consumption becomes almost as important as the supplement itself. In this context, the goal is not only to take collagen, but to make it as easy as possible for the body to use it. That is why a simpler form of consumption is recommended: 10 to 15 grams of type 1 and 3 collagen dissolved in warm water in the morning. Warm water helps the powder dissolve better and is also gentler on the digestive system on an empty stomach, which supports the initial absorption. An extra detail that is often overlooked is black pepper. Its active compound, piperine, can help the body absorb certain nutrients better by temporarily improving intestinal permeability. It is not that it multiplies the effect on its own, but it can help a greater amount of useful compounds reach the bloodstream. And if the taste feels too strong or unpleasant, a small amount of raw honey can soften it without interfering too much with the process. In practice, this helps make the routine easier to maintain over time, and in these cases, consistency is key. Tell me below in the comments where you are watching me from and what your name is. I'm reading you in the comments. And now we finally arrive at number 1, the one that surprised researchers the most, so much that they had to review the study images several times before accepting what they were seeing. Not because there was a small change, but because the results were striking enough to create doubts even among teams with years of experience studying aging. And that is not something common. Number 1 is water prepared with astragalus root. Astragalus, scientifically known as Astragalus membranaceus, is a plant that has been used for more than 2,000 years in traditional Chinese medicine. For centuries, it has been prepared as an infusion or decoction, and it has been valued mainly for its connection to the body's general energy, resistance, and well-being over the years. In Western medicine, for a long time, it went almost unnoticed, considered simply another traditional plant without much evidence behind it. But that started to change when researchers began analyzing one of its most interesting compounds in greater detail, cycloestragenol. From that point on, the focus changed completely. This compound attracted attention because it appears to be related to the activation of an enzyme in the body called telomerase. And although the name sounds complex, the idea is actually quite simple when viewed clearly. Inside every cell in the body there are chromosomes, and at the ends of those chromosomes there are small protective structures called telomeres. They can be imagined as the final part of a shoelace, that small plastic tip that prevents the lace from unraveling. Telomeres function as a natural protection for DNA. Every time a cell divides to renew itself, those telomeres become a little shorter. It is a normal process that happens throughout life. The problem is that over time that wear accumulates. When telomeres become too short, the cell begins losing its ability to function properly. Instead of renewing itself as it should, it enters a state of rest or cellular aging. Scientists call these cells senescent, although more simply they are known as zombie cells because they do not completely die, but they do not work properly either. And the most important thing is what they do afterward. They begin releasing substances that generate inflammation and damage the cellular environment. Over time, this is associated with many typical changes of aging, such as loss of firmness in the skin, muscle weakness, bone fragility, lower energy, and slower recovery of the body. That is why many researchers consider the condition of telomeres to be directly related to the speed of biological aging, and this is where telomerase comes in. This enzyme has a very special role. It helps maintain or even partially repair telomeres. It does not stop aging, but it can influence how quickly that cellular wear occurs. Interest in astragalus grew precisely because cycloestragenol has been linked in some studies to the activation of this enzyme, which opened a completely new line of research about how certain plants could influence deep cellular processes. In a study published in Rejuvenation Research, older adults who consumed astragalus extract consistently were followed for 6 months. Researchers observed relevant changes. The telomeres of certain immune cells showed improvement in their length. The number of critically short telomeres was also reduced, and the overall results were interpreted as changes associated with slower cellular aging than expected. What was most striking was not only the result, but the reaction of the research team itself, which had to review the images and data several times because the observed changes seemed too pronounced compared to what is usually seen in this type of study. Now, this becomes especially relevant after the age of 60 because at that stage, cellular wear tends to accelerate for several reasons happening at the same time. On one hand, oxidative damage from many years accumulates. On the other hand, constant low-grade inflammation appears and progresses silently. And in addition, the natural activity of telomerase decreases with age. As for its preparation, the idea is quite simple. Dried slices of good quality astragalus root are used. Between 4 and 6 grams are cooked in about 4 cups of water for approximately 45 minutes over low heat. It is important not to boil it aggressively, since excessive heat can affect some of its more sensitive active compounds. Afterward, the liquid is strained and allowed to rest a little before consuming it. Usually 1 cup is taken in the morning and another at night, maintaining a consistent routine. If you like this video, share it with family and friends. And discover the $3 recipe that erases wrinkles after 60. Click here. See you in the next video.